My wife is an obsessive CEO. Only because she had a dream where I was married to her. So she got paranoid and chased me for 7 years. But I didn't love her, much less accept her. Finally, she forced me to marry her by threatening the lives of my whole family. Even confined me to private estate and didn't allow any woman to come in contact with me. My mom secretly came to see me and was brutally broke a leg by her. You are my husband now. I don't allow any woman to look at you more than once. Not even your mom. In order to get my heart, she used all kinds of methods. But I was never moved. She was so enraged that she found a doppelganger who resembled me to the 8th degree. The doppelganger did whatever he wanted on the basis of the female president's favoritism, and he brought someone to break into the villa where I lived. Where is the bastard who dares to seduce my woman by making him look like me? He'll waste all your manhood today. See how you can still climb into a woman's bed in the future. He broke my hands, cut off my tongue, and even poured scalding water into my crotch. As I was dying, the presidentess arrived. Doppelganger put his foot on my head and said smugly to the presidentess, "Baby, this knockoff was hiding here trying to seduce you, and I've already kicked his ass for you. One Serena has haunted me for 7 years and imprisoned me for 4 because of a dream. Recently, however, she has found a doppelganger who looks like me, and they have been together for months. To piss me off, Serena often sends me videos of them flirting. Just as I was sitting in the yard enjoying the video, there was a sudden noise outside the yard. Qingzhu runs here twice in 3 days. Today I'm going to see what treasure is hidden in this villa. But didn't General Manager Shen say that this villa is her private restricted area and no one is allowed to come in? Right, Brother Hao. I've heard that in the past. When someone just went into the villa to take a look, they had their arms and legs broken and their eyes gouged out by a mess. Shen. Would it not be too good for us to sneak in like this without her consent? What are you afraid of? I'm Qingzhu's boyfriend. She loves me like her life. She definitely can't blame me. Listening to the noises outside the courtyard, my face changed slightly and I felt bad in my heart. How crazy Serena is. I know better than anyone. She was extremely possessive, treating me as her private property, imprisoned in this villa. Once someone sneaked into the villa to take a look at me out of curiosity. Then Serena broke his arms and legs, gouged out his eyes, and vanished without a trace the next day. At first she just didn't allow any females around me. Then she realized that I was treating all the bodyguards in the house better than I was treating her. She sacked all the bodyguards in the villa in a fit of anger. If those people outside the courtyard came in, I was afraid that they would all be in big trouble. I hurriedly got up and wanted to go remind those people to hurry up and get out of here. But just as I opened the door, a face that resembled mine by 8 points came into my eyes. Without waiting for me to open my mouth, the other party directly hammered a fist hard on my face. Where did the dog bastard come from? How dare you make up my appearance and hide in Qingzhu's villa? Do you still want to steal a woman from me? The sudden punch made me dizzy. You dead bastard. You've really eaten a bear's heart and leopard's gall. Is this place where a gold digger like you can come? And you deliberately made up to look like how to seduce Mr. Shen. In order to get to the top, you really don't even have a face. Until this moment. I didn't react to the fact that this person who suddenly ran in and beat me up was the doppelganger that Serena had found. Kyle, because of Serena's sick controlling nature, I had always been very cold towards her. Even after I was forced to marry her, I was still cold to her and never even touched her. Perhaps in a fit of annoyance, or perhaps to make up for it, she searched for someone who looked like me. Kyle is the doppelganger she found who looks the most like me, and right now Kyle is furious, looking at me with a gaze that could spit fire. You bastard. You know that Qingzhu is in love with me and can't help it. So you try to make yourself look like me, and you want to be my doppelganger to replace me, don't you? Kyle had an arrogant and nasty attitude. but remembering that he didn't know the truth. I wasn't going to take the punch with him. Instead, I kindly persuaded, "This is no place for you to be, so get out of here before Serena comes over, or no one will be able to help you." However, Kyle didn't appreciate it in the slightest, instead tugging on my collar and saying angrily, "Qingzhu is my woman. What place is there for her that I can't come to? Pretending to drive me away. Isn't it because you're afraid that I, the rightful owner, will ruin your shenanigans and make you unable to even be a gold digger? Today I want you to know what happens when you steal a woman from me." Saying that, Kyle directly kicked me to the ground. I hit a rock and my head instantly knocked a gash. I was furious and prepared to get up to fight back, but just as I got up, I was held down by Kyle's brothers and fell to my knees. I glared angrily at Kyle. "Aren't you afraid Serena will find out if you act recklessly like that?" Kyle hummed disdainfully and said contemptuously, "I'm the soulmate that Qingzhu has been searching for a long time. If my face breaks a little skin, she can be so distressed that she can't sleep for a few days. So what if she knows about it? Could it be that she would blame me because of you? Low-life's bastard." The few brothers that Kyle brought along also laughed coldly and agreed, "That's right. Who doesn't know that MS? Shen fell in love with Brother Hao at first sight. You're a fake knockoff. Do you deserve to be compared to Brother Hao? Brother Hao. President Shen is a famously beautiful president. There must be quite a few scheming men like this bastard around her who want to seduce her. Let's make an example today and cut off those gold diggers' crooked minds. That's right. Let those bastards who want to eat soft rice know who Ms. Shen's real husband really is." These people, each with sharp words and ruthless gazes, looked like they were itching to tear me apart. I spoke coldly, "You guys better go find Serena and ask who I really am." Kyle raised his eyebrows and said disdainfully, "You're a knockoff who sneaked into the villa, and you're worthy of letting me inquire about your identity. I'm Qingzhu, apple of her eye, the future son-in-law of the powerful Shen family. What are you, worthy of comparing your identity with me?" Saying that, his gaze turned hard, and he commanded towards his group of brothers, "Loosen the bones of this bastard first." Upon hearing this, the group of them directly punched and kicked me. In an instant, I was knocked to the ground with a bloody nose. I endured the severe pain and shouted sternly, "Stop! I'm Serena's husband." 3. Hearing my words, everyone stopped their movements. Kyle stood to the side and stared at me with narrowed eyes. "You said, you're Qingzhu's husband," I said in a serious manner. "That's right. You're nothing more than a doppelganger she found. And if she finds out that you guys hurt me so much, she'll never let you go." I spelled out the truth, thinking that Kyle would stop there. But to my surprise, they suddenly burst out laughing almost at the same instant. "This bastard wants to eat soft food and go crazy, right? Relying on the fact that he has some resemblance to Brother Hao. How dare he say that our Brother Hao is his doppelganger in this absurdity? Who in the outside world doesn't know that Mr. Shen takes Brother Hao with him wherever he goes? And you, a knockoff who sneaked in here secretly, how dare you call yourself Mr. Shen's husband?" Kyle, on the other hand, hooked the corner of his lips, revealing a sinister smile. "Originally, I thought that you were able to seduce Qingzhu by taking on my appearance, so you should have a few means. Unexpectedly, you are actually a brainless fool. I've been with Qingzhu for so long, and I didn't even know she had a husband. How many lives do you have? How dare you tell such an outrageous lie? If you were really her husband, how could you be so obscure? And how come you're living alone in this secluded villa?" Saying that, Kyle directly copied the shovel in the yard and walked over to me. "Hold him down for me. Today, I will personally teach him to be a human being." Upon hearing this, several of his brothers immediately held me down to death. Obviously, they don't know the reason why this square mile's secluded. is because this large piece of land all bought down by Serena, without her permission, no one can step into. Originally this villa also has bodyguards nannies, but just because Serena nonsense jealousy will all be dismissed. Not announcing my identity to the public is also because she doesn't allow others to look at me more than once. Even just discussing me, she felt it was blasphemy. Unexpectedly, these became the reason why they didn't believe in my identity. Seeing that Kyle raised the shovel in his hand and my entire body was held down again, I panicked and once again snapped angrily. "I'm really Serena's husband. If you don't believe me, call her and ask her." Kyle smashed the shovel into my arm at the joint. The sound of breaking bones rang out and severe pain hit me. The pain caused me to drip with cold sweat and I almost fainted. "Still talking tough. Just you are worthy to call yourself Qingzhu's husband." Saying that, Kyle kept smashing my hands with the shovel. Soon, my hands were bloody. It hurt until I lost consciousness. Seeing this, Kyle finally stopped and laughed with satisfaction. "Ha ha ha. They'll see how you can touch women in the future without your hands." Those brothers of his also threw back their heads and laughed. I glared at them with a death glare and shouted with a trembling body, "You'll regret this." Grounded for years by Serena under threat of my entire family's lives, I lost my freedom. I could only stare at the empty villa day after day. This made me already hold a breath in my heart. And now, I had to endure this kind of torture brought by doppelganger. The anger in my heart instantly transformed into thick hatred. Kyle threw away the shovel and stomped on my face with his foot. "How dare you shout at me? Since you can't spit out words I love to hear from this dog's mouth of yours, you'll never speak again. Get a knife." For one of Kyle's brothers, while stepping forward, handed Kyle a Swiss Army knife. While speaking worriedly, "Brother Hao, this is after all Mr. Shen's territory. Would it be inappropriate for us to make such a big scene?" Kyle took the knife and said without hesitation, "What's inappropriate? Qingzhu is my woman. Her home is my home. I'm just teaching a shameless bitch a lesson in my own home. Who dares to say a word about me? Besides, Qingzhu loves me like her life. Even if I take this bastard's life, she wouldn't be able to frown at me." A few other brothers also chimed in. "That's right. Our brother Hao is the man that Mr. Shen has put his life on the line to love. What is it that he can't do?" At that time, Mr. Shen will only feel sorry for our brother Hao for teaching bastard a lesson and being tired. Maybe she'll even be completely conquered by brother Hao's macho bravado and clamoring to marry brother Hao. Being told by them. The brother who handed the knife had no more worries and watched the show without worry. I was lying on the ground, seeing that the knife that was shining with a cold light was getting closer and closer to me. I couldn't help but shout in panic, "I'm really Serena's husband. Serena will never let you go if you do this." However, my threats didn't do any good. Instead, it made Kyle even angrier. "They'll cut out your tongue today. Let's see how you can still talk tough." Saying that, Kyle directly pried the sharp knife into my mouth. The hand rose and the knife fell. In a haze, I saw a large amount of blood, and the cut-off tongue falling from my mouth. Extreme pain crazily swept over me. I instantly became a puddle of mud, lying in a pool of blood, powerless to move. Breath dying, Kyle dropped the knife, got up and condescendingly said, "Just a piece of shit like you. Even if plastic surgery into my appearance, Qingzhu will not be able to look at you squarely. She loves me as a person. Understand? Not any cat or dog has a life as good as mine, nor is it any person that can make Qingzhu move her heart." Saying that, he picked up the boiling kettle for tea from the patio coffee table again, and instructed his brother, "Strip his pants off. Today, it'll ruin his manhood. See how he can still eat soft food in the future." On command, his brother quickly tore my pants off with great effort. Kyle, on the other hand, used scalding water and poured it down my crotch. the boiling water spilled and spread between my thighs. The intense burning sensation enveloping me in madness. I collapsed, without the slightest strength to move. I tried to cry out, but with no tongue and a mouth full of blood, I couldn't make a sound. I could only let the boiling water, pouring red off my skin, Serena, though paranoid, confined me here. But she never hurt me or touched me. On the contrary, she protected me like her life depended on it. Even if it's just a scratch, she's so anxious that she calls all the authoritative experts to treat me. Even if I am not willing to be close to her. She never forced. She said she would wait for me to willingly hand over my first time to her. She said, my life, destined to be her man, she wants to have children with me, spend the rest of the happy life. But now, I am drowning in Kyle's humiliation, lost male dignity. Helplessness and despair enveloped me deeply. I couldn't make a sound, but only burst into tears. Serena, is this what you want? Seeing my miserable state, Kyle's brothers couldn't help but speak excitedly. Hao was born to be a rich man. He really has a way of teaching people. Yeah, look at this bastard. He was tough at first. But now he's been made to cry. Haha. I'm afraid he won't dare to seduce women anymore. Congratulations to Brother Hao for successfully eradicating a cheap bastard. Let's see who dares to steal Mr. Shen from you in the future. Kyle was even more like a general who won a battle, dropping the kettle in his hand in triumph. A foot stomped hard on my crotch. While stomping hard, he leaned down and arrogantly opened his mouth. In the future, you'll honestly be an eunuch, a knockoff, who also dares to think of topping my face and getting the love of Qingzhu. How ridiculous. As soon as the words fell, Serena walked into the villa courtyard and spoke in a cold voice. What are you guys doing? As soon as Serena spoke, everyone couldn't help but look towards her. She was wearing a high-fashion dress and draped in long, dark, slightly curly hair. Her fair skin and exquisite figure, paired with her cold temperament, made her even more noble and moving. Kyle, who was originally overbearing, instantly softened his temper once he saw Serena. With a spring-like smile, he went forward and held Serena's jade-like hand. Qingzhu, aren't you in an emergency meeting? How come you still have time to come here? Serena ignored Kyle's question and asked back in a cold voice. Don't you know that this villa is a place where I am strictly forbidden to set foot? What are you doing here? Serena's voice was very cold, without the slightest emotion. However, those obsidian-like eyes reflected a chilling ice-sharp light. Meeting Serena's gaze, a flash of unnaturalness flashed across Kyle's face. Qingzhu, I saw a knockoff sneaking in from outside the villa, and I followed him in to catch him. At those words, Serena frowned slightly, her gaze looking inside the villa. You guys didn't go inside the villa, did you? Kyle immediately waved his hand and said, no, we taught this knockoff a lesson right in the courtyard. Kyle's several brothers, seeing that the atmosphere wasn't quite right, hurriedly chimed in. Mr. Shen, Hao knows that this place is important to you. So naturally, he won't mess around, right? He saw someone sneaking in furtively and was worried to death, fearing that the person would be unfavorable to you. Hao just loves you too much, and his concern is too much. You mustn't blame him. After hearing these words, Serena's icy face eased a little. However, her voice was still clear and cold. In the future, you'd better not come to this place. Kyle was puzzled. Why? I think this place is not bad. It's a bit of a pity to leave it deserted. Why don't I move here in the future? As he asked this, Kyle looked at Serena with anticipation, like a beloved pet waiting for its master's nod. But Serena's face, which had just eased down, suddenly turned cold as ice. Seeing this, Kyle's demeanor was a beat, and he said softly, Qingzhu, Did I say something wrong that made you unhappy? Serena leisurely raised her eyes and looked at the window of my room. The corner of her mouth suddenly raised an undetectable provocative smile. She then reached out and gently pinched Kyle's face. No. I just think that you're suited for a better place. This place is too shabby. You'll have to live in Vanderbilt Estate if you want to. 6. As she spoke, Serena's eyes looked purposefully toward the window of my room. It seemed to be expecting that I could see the scene through the window. Kyle's mouth crooked with a smile when he heard this. Really? You really allow me to live in Vanderbilt Estate? Vanderbilt Estate is the Shen family's old mansion. Only Shen family members were qualified to enter it. Serena's words had the great intention of making Kyle a member of the Shen family. This made Kyle, who was bent on joining the Shen family, so excited that he couldn't help himself. Serena nodded her head, meaning to say, of course. Who asked you to be such a good boy? Not waiting for Kyle to say anything, Serena continued, this place is my private sanctuary. If not for your face today, all these brothers of yours don't want to leave here alive. Serena's sentence was spoken lightly. However, it startled those few brothers. They all knew that Serena was thunderous and had always spoken her mind. Kyle took Serena's hand as the brothers looked on in fear. I knew you loved me the most. The corners of Serena's mouth rose slightly as she spoke softly. You know what I love most about you. Kyle looks at Serena tenderly. What? With her long fingertips, Serena gently brushed Kyle's cheek and said with deep emotion, my favorite thing about you is the way you look when you use this face and say you love me. Serena's sudden confession made Kyle a little bashful. Oh, right. In the next moment, he suddenly reacted with a brilliant light in his eyes. Then he quickly walked to me and dragged the dying me in front of Serena. In front of Serena's face, he stepped on my head with his foot and smugly said, baby, it's this knockoff who sneaked into the villa. I've already taught him a hard lesson for you. 7. At this moment, my whole face was red and swollen. Where the tongue was broken, it was still spilling blood, and blood was staining my face. It looked miserable and shocking. Serena didn't even recognize me. Even look at my eyes, filled with disgust. As if seeing something dirty. The eyes only stayed on me for a split second before looking back to Kyle, smiling and praising. A good lesson, but in the future, this kind of thing, you'd better not do it yourself. In case you hurt yourself, you'll be heartbroken, especially with this face of yours. Serena stared at Kyle's face with a deep gaze. That deep sunken look was like admiring her favorite treasure. After saying that, she no longer looked at me more and turned her head to the bodyguard she brought with her and ordered, go dig a hole outside and bury the person. Don't dirty this yard of mine. Serena's tone was natural, as if digging a hole and burying someone was as common as eating or drinking water to her. My breath was dying on the ground, and I was struggling to breathe. I wanted to scream. I wanted to struggle. I wanted to let Serena know. But with my tongue cut out, my blood drained, and my breath depleted, I couldn't open my mouth at all. All I could do was curl up on the ground. As the two bodyguards lifted my body and dragged me away from the villa compound, Serena's eyes always glanced at the window of my room, intentionally or unintentionally. Perhaps because she didn't see the figure she wanted to see. She gradually became a bit agitated. The next moment, she looked at Kyle with an unwilling face and deliberately raised her volume. How? They'll take you to Vanderbilt Estate right now. If you like it, you can move there today. Upon hearing this, Kyle was thrilled and hurriedly held Serena's hand and walked out. Great. Let's hurry. I can't wait to live with you. Serena slowly walked towards the courtyard under Kyle's eager urging. She took one step and turned around 3 times, but never saw my figure in the window. This feeling of being completely ignored made Serena, who was already gambling, feel even more upset. She suddenly blushed and stopped in her tracks. Shaking off Kyle's hand, she turned around and walked towards the villa. Entering the villa, she quickly opened the door to my room. "Do you really care that much about?" Serena's words ended abruptly as the room was empty. She frowned and looked around the villa with undying interest. Every nook and cranny was left untouched. But I was nowhere to be seen. Serena stepped out of the villa and stared at Kyle with an icy gaze as she asked, "Where is the person in this villa?" Serena's voice was filled with suppressed anger, as if it would explode at any moment. Kyle was confused and queried, "What people? I don't see anyone else in the villa except for Bastard, the dog who just got plastic surgery to look like me." Upon hearing this, Serena's face suddenly changed drastically. "Plastic surgery to look like you? You mean, that guy just now looked like you?" Kyle was unimpressed. "Yeah, that's why I taught him a hard lesson. That dog Bastard knew that you liked me and purposely got plastic surgery to look like me, in the vain hope of seducing you in this way instead of me, and even delusionally claimed to be your husband. Do you think it's laughable?" Saying that, Kyle even gave a deliberate giggle. But at this moment, Serena's complexion was already hard to see. She violently turned around and ran towards the outside of the villa's courtyard like a madman. "Qingzhu! Qingzhu, where are you going?" Kyle shouted in disbelief as he opened his footsteps and followed closely behind. The few brothers, too, followed and ran quickly. Serena, who had always been dignified and stable, was as anxious as if she had lost her mind. Even with her fine heels, her steps were fast. Just after leaving the compound, she saw the wasteland not far away. Two of the Shen family bodyguards were filling in the graves. She flew forward and pushed the two bodyguards away. Then she picked up a shovel and dug like crazy. Her eyes were red and anxious. After digging me out, she immediately and quickly wiped the blood and dirt off my face. Seeing my face clearly, her pupils contracted violently and her entire body trembled. She reached out her hand and nervously tested my nostrils. Seeing that I was still breathing weakly, she instantly rushed at the two bodyguards and yelled sternly, "Quickly, call an ambulance." On command, one of the bodyguards immediately dialed the phone. Kyle, who had just run over, saw that Serena was so nervous about me, and his complexion instantly became displeased. With a sullen face, he grumbled, "Qingzhu, what do you mean by running over in a hurry and urgently calling an ambulance for this bastard? Are you that concerned about him? Didn't you say you only love me? How can you hold this bastard in your arms?" Facing Kyle's questioning, Serena ignored it. Her gaze, for a moment, was fixed on me. It seemed as if she was afraid that I would stop breathing the next second. Kyle had trouble accepting that he was being completely ignored. He quickly stepped forward, took Serena's hand, and continued, "Qingzhu, wake up. I'm the man you love. You care so much about this bastard. Have you ever considered my feelings? Where is this bastard better than me?" Kyle's brother also took the blame for him. "Right, Mr. Shen. This bastard only has plastic surgery to look a bit like Hao. But in the end, he's just an imposter who can't get on the stage. Don't break Hao's heart for this kind of person." "That's right. He purposely made himself up to look like Hao just to seduce you. Don't fall for his tricks. You mustn't be fooled by his miserable appearance. It's all because he deserved it and asked for it. He relies on the fact that he has a slight resemblance to Hao to strut his stuff. And absurdity says that Hao is just his doppelganger. This kind of shameless scumbag, burying him alive is considered cheap." With every sentence they said, Serena's face became gloomy. Her reddish eyes, gazing deeply at me, spoke word for word, "Ethan, don't worry. I won't spare any of these people who bullied you today." Serena's voice was not loud. Yet, it clearly traveled into everyone's ears. The expressions on everyone's faces suddenly froze. No one could have imagined that Serena would suddenly pop up with such words. Kyle stared wide-eyed and spoke with disbelief. Qingzhu. You're joking with me, right? Upon hearing this, a few of his brothers immediately reacted. Brother Hao. Mr. Shen loves you so much. How could she punish us for this knockoff? She must be joking. By the looks of it, this knockoff should be the little white boy that General Manager Shen keeps in this deserted villa. That's why General Manager Shen knows him. That's right, Brother Hao. Don't worry. There's no way that Mr. Shen would blame you for a gold digger who imitates you. With those words of hers, she's obviously just coaxing gold digger. Serena acted as if she hadn't heard the voices. Her gaze remained fixed on me. Ethan, don't scare me. Open your eyes and look at me. Talk to me. Serena kept calling out to me, her voice carrying an undisguised tension. I was held in her arms, feeling her trembling body and frightened voice. There was a moment of clarity in consciousness. I struggled to open my eyes and opened my mouth slightly, trying to speak. But when I opened my mouth, my throat could only produce a low hoarse sound. The blood in my mouth kept bubbling out. The blood stained Serena's hand, and she was instantly startled. Incredibly panicked. She cupped my face and said in a trembling voice, Ethan, what happened to your tongue? I couldn't reply, just tried my best to hold my eyelids open and looked at her weakly. Kyle, who was beside me, saw this and said indignantly, just now, this bastard kept talking tough. So I cut out his tongue, seeing that he is still presuming to take my place. They'll cut him off by the way. Azora, I don't think you'll blame me, right? Hearing these words, Serena's eyes instantly became extremely ghastly. She slowly turned her head, her eyes staring straight at Kyle. Her eyes looked as if they could kill. Kyle, however, didn't feel that something was wrong, and remained emboldened as he took Serena's hand, and continued to speak. Qingzhu, I know that you love me very much, but not all people who look like me are me. You already have me. There's no need to keep this imposter gold digger. I can fulfill you with anything. This dog bastard is 80 not going to survive. They'll forgive you this time. From now on, let's be good together. You mustn't make me sad again. Kyle thought that his words, deep feelings, can make Serena touched. But Serena, her complexion became deeper and deeper, and her eyes became even more terrifying. The next moment, she gave Kyle a taboo smile. Kyle, there's something I forgot to tell you. Ethan is the love of my life and my husband. Serena's voice, very soft, but like a heavy hammer, it directly shook Kyle to the point of paralyzing him to the ground. And I, in this instant, completely fainted. Inside the hospital, Serena found the best medical experts to sew up my tongue. The injuries on my lower body were also recovering slowly. I was unconscious for 2 days before I woke up. Then I recuperated for a full half-month before I recovered and was discharged from the hospital. I was picked up by Serena and returned to the villa. Inside the villa, Kyle and a few of his brothers were all tied up in the villa's hall with disheveled heads, as if they were death row inmates awaiting trial. Their bodies were dirty and emitted a foul odor. As soon as they saw me, they, who were originally disheveled to the extreme, looked like they had found a lead to relief, and their eyes suddenly flashed with essence. Brother Yi, we didn't know your identity before we did those things to you. Those who don't know are not guilty, so just let us go. One of Kyle's brothers couldn't wait to speak. It looked like he was begging for forgiveness, but in reality, he was shirking his responsibility. With an icy expression, I said bluntly, "Don't know my identity." I had confessed my identity over and over again that day. And even told you guys to call and ask. But you guys didn't believe me and even cut out my tongue. Weren't you guys arrogant at that time? What? Dare to do it. Not dare to admit it. My words were harsh and my gaze was cold. After hearing this, that person's face turned white, no longer able to sophisticatedly argue. Seeing that I obviously wanted to pursue to the end, the other few people immediately shouted nervously, "This is all a misunderstanding. If we really knew that you were Mr. Shen's husband, we wouldn't have dared to lay hands on you for any reason, right? You are now recovered and discharged from the hospital. There is no need to pursue this matter any further." "That's right. We've been locked up for more than 10 days. And you're fine. So there's no need to be catty about it anymore." They shouted their condescension one by one. One by one. It seemed that they were the victims and I was a brutal and unreasonable abuser. Looking at their sympathetic appearance, my face became more and more icy, and my voice became even colder. "When teaching me a lesson, you guys showed no mercy and were dying to take my life. Now, you guys are telling me that there's no need to make a big deal out of it." I asked a rhetorical question, blocking those people from speaking. Kyle, on the other hand, turned his gaze to Serena. "Qingzhu, the reason I went after him was purely because I love you. I also did it because I was too afraid of losing you. Is it wrong to love you? How can you punish me for that?" Kyle's face was full of aggression, as if he had suffered a great injustice. He knew Serena had always favored him, and that I hated him. That's why he skipped right over me and conversed with Serena. However, Serena had no expression on her face. "Hurt my husband and you still want to feel better." After saying that, Serena looked directly at me and softly inquired, "The scene later might be a bit bloody. Do you want to avoid it?" In the past, I hated seeing Serena hurt someone because of me. But this time, I didn't change my face. "No need." Serena nodded. Then she got up and picked up a large, sharp axe. Like a god of death, she walked towards Kyle's group of brothers. At this moment, Serena was not like that high and mighty iceberg female president. Instead, she was like a female general who had been in the battlefield for a long time and had slaughtered countless people. Kyle's brothers were all scared out of their wits. "No. Don't." Not giving them a chance to talk nonsense, Serena's hand rose and axe fell, accompanied by a wail of pain. One after another, they fell to the ground one after another. Their deaths, one by one, were more tragic than the other. A gust of wind blew by. The pungent smell of blood hit my face, sobering my brain, letting me once again deeply see Serena's ruthless methods. Inside the large villa, only Kyle was left, shivering and standing amongst the group of corpses. Seeing Serena didn't lay hands on him, he was shocked and happy. "Qingzhu, I knew you still love me. You definitely don't want to kill me." Serena grunted coldly and said faintly, "No, I just don't want you to die too painfully. I want Ethan to watch me slowly torture you to death." Hearing this, the smile on Kyle's face abruptly froze. He kept shaking his head. "No, you can't do that to me. I've disappeared for so many days. My dad must already be looking for me. I'm my dad's only son. If you kill me, you'll be in trouble too." By now, Kyle had already recognized that relying on his feelings would definitely not be able to convince Serena. So he moved out his dad. Hearing this, Serena snorted from her nose. "Do you think I will be afraid?" Saying that, Serena raised the axe in her hand and chopped down towards Kyle. But right at that moment, Kyle's dad, with a group of police officers, broke through the door. "Put the axe down and don't move." 11 As soon as the police entered the door, they directly pointed their guns at Serena. Each of them looked stern, as if she would be shot indiscriminately if she moved. "Dad, you're finally here." Kyle's face was so elated that his eyes soared with tears of surprise. The whole person also had a kind of relaxation after the robbery. Even the way he looked at Serena carried a bit of a provocative undertone. You hurry up and release my son. I know that your Shen family is powerful, but if you hurt my son, you definitely won't have a good ending either. Quickly put down the axe. Kyle's dad snapped out at Serena. There was a clear threatening intent in his tone. Serena, however, did not change her face. Didn't even raise her eyes. The axe in her hand, firm and powerful, swung towards the smug Kyle. Pfft, bang, the sound of a sharp axe entering the body, and an ear-piercing gunshot sounded at the same time. Kyle's chest instantly overflowed with blood. As for Serena's shoulder, there was also a flower of blood that blossomed. Serena frowned slightly, and a color of pain flashed across her face. Her eyes, however, were very determined. Under Kyle's terrified and agonized gaze, Serena drew her axe and chopped towards Kyle once again. One swing after another. Each swing was so determined and hard. And the police's gun, in her continuous swinging, opened one after another, until Serena's body was covered in blood everywhere. Only when Kyle was completely lifeless did Serena throw down the axe with satisfaction. Serena was paralyzed, lying on the ground, looking at me with a bleak and affectionate gaze. She opened her lips lightly, as if she wanted to say something to me. I slowly stepped forward and walked over to her. Ethan, I took revenge for you, said Serena. Above her agonized face, raised a smile. I looked at her faintly, without saying a word. She once again opened her mouth with difficulty and said weakly, Can you not say a word of love for me? Her voice was weak. The tone broke with a hint of humble begging. I looked at her expressionlessly and said in a cold voice, I hate you. 3 simple words. It was as if they pierced through Serena's heart, making her expression instantly freeze. Breathing also suddenly stopped. In the end, she still looked at me with eyes wide open. Her eyes, empty, penetrating the deepest despair. After Serena's death, I went straight to the outside of the villa. I opened my hands and breathed freely. The wind whisked by. The tip of my nose swept through a fresh scent. That is the smell of freedom. This is life.